From the station working for you, this is WRTV News at 7, streaming now.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Amanda Starantino. We are starting off at 7 with Chief Meteorologist Kevin Gregory. Kevin, we're seeing some changes in the forecast tonight.
We'd like to see some rain. Widespread rain would be perfect. We'll get to that in a second. Our temperatures, they're stuck around 80 degrees because of the cloud cover. So it may have looked like it was going to pour at your house all day long. Most of us have not seen downpours. Few areas have. Muncie's at 81, 79 in Bloomington, temperature in Kokomo and Indianapolis at 78. There are spots where the rain's coming down pretty good. Just to the east of Kokomo now, just cross the bypass there, moving east, and then 31 north toward Peru. Anywhere north of Kokomo to Peru, heavy rainfall. These are all light showers, but I think the trend will be for an uptick in additional rainfall that has been so far centered to the north and west, but I think will begin to include more of central Indiana. As far as any risk for severe storms, it is low. Marginal or low risk. Damaging wind would be the main threat from these storms. 8 o'clock to about 11, there's the expansion of some of these pockets of heavier rainfall. If you need the rain, and I'm sure you do, fingers crossed for that. Talk about additional rain chances and look at the Labor Day weekend forecast coming up.
Today, the Indiana State Department of Health reported an additional 721 coronavirus cases and 16 deaths linked to COVID-19. That data was recorded from August 21st to August 31st. The Department of Health's breakdown by age shows the most positive coronavirus cases in Hoosiers between 20 and 29 years old, 19.7%. And with the holiday weekend right around the corner, Hamilton County Health Department wants to make sure students won't be bringing COVID-19 back to the classroom. WRTV's Troy Washington explains what CLASS stands for.
In order to keep learning happening in the classroom, it's going to take more than just teachers doing their part.
Well, we're heading into a holiday weekend, which is traditionally a big time for barbecues, beaches, and pool parties.
That's why the Hamilton County Health Department says this is the perfect time to roll out Show Some Class. That stands for check your child's temperature, lead by example, avoid large gatherings, schedule a test if needed, and stay home until the results return.
With Labor Day weekend on the way, the campaign to slow the spread of COVID-19 is supposed to remind families that it takes all of us to keep numbers down.
You know, we thought we would tie it into the school setting to help target those grades and those age groups where we're seeing the largest growth in COVID positive cases.
Derek Arrowwood is the superintendent over Hamilton Heights School Corporation. He says inside of his schools, they are doing all they can during school hours. They'll just need parents to help out after the bell rings.
Our kids want to be in school. Our families want our kids in school.
Here's how it goes when someone is diagnosed with COVID-19 at school.
So if my child is at school and tests positive for COVID-19, then the school, as well as the health department, track through each person that my child comes into contact with. All of those children have to go home until they're screened and come back negative.
Of 2,300 students in the district, 13% chose virtual learning, meaning the majority of the students are in the classroom.
We have had cases right now. We have one active staff case and we have one active student case. We've had previous cases. Those individuals have isolated and then come back healthy and they're back at school. We were quarantining about 30 kids right now.
Those numbers aren't bad, and if everyone shows some class, they'll get even better in the district all across Hamilton County, meaning schools will stay open. Working for you in Hamilton County, Troy Washington, WRTV.
Today, the Fishers Health Department downgraded its COVID-19 community risk level from significant to moderate. Mayor Scott Fadness tweeted a message to Fishers residents saying, quote, "Thanks for your hard work in controlling the spread of COVID-19. Our numbers have improved. We now have the opportunity for kids to attend school. Keep up the great work." Despite that tweet, Hamilton Southeastern Schools says it is not making any changes to its current plans for students. Right now, all students are learning virtually, and pre-K to fourth graders will switch to hybrid learning on September 8th. Students in grades 5 through 12 are set to remain 100% virtual. This has sparked protests from some parents who want their kids back in school. A change in plans would require school board approval. The board is set to hold a special meeting tomorrow at 6.
It's going to get a lot worse before it's going to get better.
And it's been almost 3 weeks since the state's eviction moratorium ended. Many families are now losing or at risk of losing their homes. WRTV's Megan Sanctorum is working to find out how one organization in Hendricks County is helping those families and the challenges they now face.
My mortgage is behind, my utilities behind, I don't have any food.
That is the scary reality so many Hoosiers are facing right now. Many of them at risk of becoming homeless as well, now that the state's eviction moratorium has ended.
It's really dark, it's just really dark.
This woman came to Family Promise of Hendricks County for help. She tells us she worked at the Omni Hotel for 26 years, but was laid off in March due to the pandemic. She's still waiting on unemployment benefit issues to be resolved, and she hasn't gotten a payment in 11 weeks.
If I get the paid, I will not stress it out. I will not behind. I pay my mortgage, I pay my utility.
But until then, she and others rely on organizations like this. Family Promise works with landlords. They provide emergency housing if a family is evicted, and they help those in need find new permanent housing. Leaders here say their work has gotten increasingly difficult, though, as certain programs end. The state also closed their rental assistance application portal.
2 months ago, we were in a place where we were scared, but at least we had a home and we had food and we had our utilities on. Now, we're still those same people with those same struggles, but we don't have that safety net anymore. And so we've got to pull together as a community to be able to help these families get through this hard time. And it will end and it will get better, but it's going to take all of us getting up that mountain together.
She says Family Promise has teamed up with other organizations in the area, and they're all working together to help families as the need continues to grow.
You know how many people are stressing out at home? We don't know what way to go. It's not only me. There is a lot of people.
Working for you, Megan Sanctorum, WRTV.
The Rebound Indiana is our mission to showcase all the options to help families and businesses bounce back from this pandemic. WRTV's Lauren Casey shows you how a Greenwood restaurant that took a big hit during the shutdown is adapting to this new normal.
Working in a kitchen, it's the safest job in the world because everybody has to eat. Well, March 18th or whatever that was not the case.
Mark Hendricks is the chef and owner of Reverie, a progressive American restaurant serving up as much local food as possible at the corner of Main and Madison in Greenwood. Steaks, seafood, burgers, an extensive bourbon list, and craft cocktails, all on an ever-changing menu. Because in this business, you have to adapt.
You always have to be thinking ahead of time. It's like a chess game.
But as the pandemic hit the Hoosier state, Mark faced his biggest challenge yet.
It's definitely a weird feeling knowing that you're not going to work anymore, that you've been doing this for 15, 20 years, and then all of a sudden you just don't go to work anymore. You have to tell all your staff, I don't know. Like, we had no idea what to do.
The carry-out formula didn't fit, and Mark had to tell his employees to go on unemployment.
This is the hardest thing I've ever had to do. I literally almost went bankrupt. I was like $3,000 left to my name, to my name.
But he hustled and he got help from his bank, from government loans, from his community.
I applied for every loan, the PPP, all that, all that jazz, and I got them.
Prior to the pandemic, Mark was set to sign a construction loan in order to expand. A 6,000 square foot space with retail, an all-seasons patio, and a fireplace called Implement.
Picked out the chairs and the tables and all that good stuff, and then all of a sudden, the thing hit.
And so he pivoted, and Implement became Implitent.
And it turned out amazing. People were coming out, they're getting to be outside, and it feels good, you're fresh air.
With the project now on hold, Mark took what he had, a parking lot, and created outdoor dining to help compensate for capacity restrictions inside. Implitent will help to fund Implement in the future. But for now, it's a safe space for food, live music, and a new business venture.
I've been wanting to get a food truck over the past 4 years.
One of those government loans also funding the new dashboard food truck and catering, an off-premise service.
I was just very lucky to have that food truck on the back burner for so long in my life.
Dashboard Food Truck and Catering rolls up with the linens, tents, and Reverie's most popular dishes. And today, it's supplying walk-up service for Implitent.
It's in the parking lot now because we're trying to learn how to use it. I've never worked on a food truck before, and it's kind of like the coolest thing I've ever. It's like my baby now. I've never I've never experienced anything that cool before in my life, and well, a couple things, but that's on the top of the list.
The hardest months of his life, forcing him to refocus, helping a longtime dream come to fruition.
Would you have started the food truck and catering had COVID-19 not happened?
No, I wouldn't have. Never would have done catering or the food truck thing if this didn't happen.
Working for you, Lauren Casey, WRTV.
Mark tells us they are already pre-booking events for 2021, and he's hoping this truck could help cater some safe, socially distant gatherings in your own backyard. For more info on the new business, you can find this story on our website at WRTV.com/rebound. Plus, there we also have info on resources still available to help small businesses like Reverie make it to the other side of this pandemic. Hoosier families are facing new challenges when it comes to sending kids back to school. That's why the If You Give a Child a Book campaign from our parent company, EW Scripps, is so important this year. It is an annual drive led by the Scripps Howard Foundation and Scripps employees and family members. Over the last 4 years, the campaign has donated more than 352,000 new books. Now, for the first time, we are opening up the effort to everyone. Donations will be accepted through Friday, September 11th. Just go to WRTV.com/giveabook. You can find more info in this story at WRTV.com. Still ahead on the news at 7, knowing these 3 steps could mean the difference between life and death. How you could be better prepared for a friend thinking of harming themselves. Today marks the beginning of National Suicide Prevention Month. Since the beginning of the pandemic, the National Suicide Hotline says it's received more calls than normal, and local groups want to end the stigma surrounding mental health and make everyone aware of the warning signs of suicide. Groups like the Indiana Center for the Prevention of Youth Abuse and Suicide, leaders with the group say 1 in 5 Hoosier teens have contemplated taking their own life. They say there are many reasons someone might think about it, but there's no one way to know if someone's doing so. That is why it's so important to stay educated and talk about it.
I just think the more information that people have and the more resources available, the more comfortable they're going to be to have the conversations. And I mean, when we think about suicide and mental health, it really is a ripple effect. So it may not affect me now, it may affect me later, which is going to affect somebody else. And so to have that community that is prepared and able to handle when and if that happens in their home or in their family, well, they'll be better equipped to be able to address it when the time might come up.
That center offers QPR classes. That stands for Question, Persuade, and Refer. Question, ask someone if they are having suicidal thoughts. Persuade, try to show and tell them how important they are to you to convince them to stay alive. And Refer, help them find a mental health option that is better for them. All throughout September, that center is offering classes virtually and free of charge. You can find more details at WRTV.com. Coming up, a historic restaurant is making a comeback after going up in flames. The latest on Country Kitchen's rebuilding progress. Kevin.
And tracking pockets of heavy rainfall, one just east of Peru, then just east of 31 all the way down toward Kokomo. Will you have rain at your house? We'll try to answer that question coming up.
It turns out millionaires are eager to try out commercial spaceflight. A survey shows 39% of people with a net worth of at least $5 million would pay for a Virgin Galactic trip to space. The cost will be at least $250,000 per person. 600 people already booked their trip, even though it's not known when the first flight will even happen.
Something to dream about for the rest of us. All right, temperature 78 in Indy right now, 73 in Lafayette. They've had thunderstorms there, anywhere from ½ an inch to maybe an inch of rain in portions of Tippecanoe County, and Bloomington at 79. As you look at the radar, not much, if anything, happening east or southeast of Indy. Everything has kind of been on a Terre Haute-Sullivan line up to Peru. Up to this point. I think it will expand a little more into central Indiana before 11 o'clock. Just east of Kokomo, north of Greentown, you come up toward Peru, and all of this is moving to the east. It'll move toward Liberty, Marion, and areas toward Blackford County or Hartford City. As you can see now, this area of rain that sits just north of Interstate 70 in Illinois, lifting to the north, but we'll see if additional development follows that. With the setting sun, the cloud cover that that we've had all day, that helps keep the severe threat low. It's not zero, but damaging wind would be the main threat from any of the storms. Let's pick up the timeline here. This is just after 9 o'clock. There's 11 isolated downpours, maybe some rumbles of thunder there. As we wake up in the morning, that will start shifting off to the south and east, but perhaps rebuild during the afternoon hours. Temperatures tomorrow, not much different than today. Lots of cloud cover, isolated showers and thunder showers. We'll start to notice a difference in the pattern. End of the work week into the weekend, that will be a nice stretch of weather. Tomorrow, our chance for showers and thunderstorms never overwhelming, 20 to 30%, maybe a little higher in some spots. Temperatures again in the low 80s. And as you look at your Thursday planner, best chance of rain Thursday will be in the southern half of the state and maybe even closer to the Ohio River. I want you to look at Friday morning, Saturday, and Sunday, 3 days in a row where temperatures will be in the 50s, highs with low humidity, 77 Friday, still in the 70s Saturday. Next chance of rain when we get into the weekend will come on Labor Day itself, 30% chance of thunderstorms and 76 degrees.
Thanks, Kevin. Soon, the scent of soul food will once again make its way down North College Avenue in Indianapolis. A fire destroyed the Country Kitchen building back in January, but as WRTV's Troy Washington learned, it did not destroy the spirit that will help the restaurant rise again.
This doesn't look like much right now, but in less than a year's time, Country Kitchen Soul Food Place says this is what customers will see when they turn onto North College Avenue.
We've got the plans in place. We're now looking for bids, and we're in the process of doing this. Our goal is February or March of 2021 to be complete, but that's ambitious in the middle of a pandemic.
Regina Marsh says owners planned on building a better restaurant. January's fire just sped up that process. Now it's only a matter of time before the restaurant, just as rich in its history as the flavor in their food, makes a comeback.
We were devastated by the fire. We all call that our place.
On any given day before the fire, the smell of comfort food would meet you at the door and greet customers before they even got a chance to take a seat.
And we're coming back. We need that fried chicken, greens, and sweet potatoes.
The restaurant raised $50,000 after the fire, but all of that went towards helping its workers.
What was so great about that money, it didn't go to the restaurant, it went to the staff. What makes a good restaurant is your chef, right? And so you want to figure out a way to keep him sustained during this time. We had great servers, so we wanted to be able to sustain our staff during this time. And so that money went directly to paying rent, to utilities, to phone bills, all of those things to help sustain our staff.
No insurance and other funds will bring this new vision to life so that the restaurant can get back to serving up food for the soul. Working for you, Troy Washington, WRTV.
The restaurant plans to continue its tradition of holding its annual Christmas giveaway. There is no word yet on where that will be held since the restaurant is not expected to open until next year. We'll be right back. With 9 weeks to go until the general election, there's a nationwide effort to encourage people to volunteer as poll workers. One company is even paying its employees to help at the polls instead of work on Election Day. Old Navy's announced its plan today, which is National Poll Worker Recruitment Day. That's more than 50,000 employees from more than 1,000 stores that could get paid to be at the polls by both Old Navy and their local county election commission. You can visit workelections.com to learn more about helping locally on Election Day.
If you have not had rain yet today, hang in there. There's some more opportunity between now and 11. I think we'll see the rain expand a bit. At times could be heavy in some of the stronger cells. The threat for any severe weather is low. Tomorrow, chance of thunderstorms, 40%, 83 for the high. Rain chance diminishes Thursday and really moves to the south. And then on Friday, 77 and mostly sunny. That's the moment that you realize it's going to be a great weekend. And that momentum carries into Saturday and Sunday.
Thanks for making WRTV your choice for news. Our next newscast is tonight at 11.